This is not the time to raise fees and taxes that could have been avoided. And
That's why he's not signing the budget. Governor McKee says, it's not my budget. I didn't ask for those tax hikes, and I won't sign it, which doesn't mean much. It still becomes law.
The news came during a more or less secret briefing today. NBC 10's Brian Crandall and Gabrielle Caracciolo were there, and they're live in the studio now to break it all down. Brian?
Well, Patrice and Jean, Governor McKee told reporters today why he's not going to sign the $14.3 billion spending plan passed by lawmakers.
He says it's because he doesn't like the added taxes and fees that will impact Rhode Islanders, calling them unnecessary.
This is not the time to raise fees and taxes that could have been avoided.
Increases to Rhode Island's gas and real estate conveyance taxes are just two of the reasons Governor Dan McKee says he won't sign the new state budget. The General Assembly's $14 billion spending plan differs from what he proposed.
This only adds to the cost of living for a family in the state of Rhode Island, which I don't believe was necessary.
The budget raises the gas tax by 2 cents to a total of 41 cents per gallon. It'll help fund the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority. Everyone selling their home will also have to pay the state more. And there's increases to DMV fees, traffic fines, and a new sales tax for parking. Did you make it clear in advance of the budget passing that you wouldn't sign a budget with these taxes and fee increases? And if so, do you think the General Assembly just didn't care what you told them?
We made it very clear on multiple things that this was something that I didn't agree with, including the RIPTA, the way that the RIPTA was financed through a 2-cent gas tax.
The governor says he wasn't given a heads up about all the changes before the budget was unveiled.
There's not a long time frame to be, first of all, we couldn't have, before the budget was passed, we couldn't have been talking about a 2-cent gas tax when we didn't know it was coming, right? Just like you didn't know it was coming. So we're responding in real time. And that's what we're doing today.
The House Speaker and Senate President say they stand by their balanced bipartisan budget. Even without the governor's signature, it will become law. And Brian, there has been a lot of back and forth already. House Speaker Shekarchi has been critical of the governor's original budget proposal, saying there were holes and miscalculations. For his part, the governor today shot back, saying he thinks he gave them a good budget to work with and that it's the General Assembly's budget that's bad.
Yeah, right. So the governor doesn't like the budget, but he's not going to go so far as to veto it. Why not? He faced a barrage of questions about that during the press event he called today.
This is a budget that I'm not going to sign.
But the governor won't go so far as vetoing it. Why not go all the way?
The question is a good question.
A veto would force lawmakers to come back into session and most likely override him. Do you just not want to have that perception?
What I think is that I'm doing my best today to explain that people are being taxed unnecessarily. And I don't believe that there would be a change in terms of the outcome of the budget process if it went back to the General Assembly.
Instead, Dan McKee holds court with the media, trying to win public opinion.
Today's meeting makes it very clear where I stand as governor, that this is not the time to be putting fees and additional taxes on the working families in the state of Rhode Island.
House Republican leader Mike Chippendale also doesn't like the budget, but blasts McKee for what he's not doing, saying in a statement it's, quote, transparently political, especially given his dismal approval ratings and looming 2026 re-election campaign. If he truly felt this budget was unacceptable and was acting on principle, he would have vetoed it, not staged a PR move.
We're not folding. I don't know when the last time a budget wasn't signed in the state of Rhode Island, but I'm not showing up to sign a budget.
2010, Republican Governor Don Kachiri did not sign and vetoed the budget several times in previous years. Republicans and governors like McKee argue this is a reason governors should have a line-item veto, to cross out only what they don't like. 44 other states do have it.
I think that makes sense to have a line-item veto, but I don't see that coming anytime soon. I'm using the authority that a governor has today.
All right, McKee not signing the budget is different from the other rebukes from governors over the last 25 years because he's the only Democrat to take this step with the legislature that's long been dominated by Democrats, Gabrielle.
Yeah, now this budget is set to become law on Friday without his signature. And you can see the letter Governor McKee sent to House Speaker Joseph Shekarchi on turnto10.com, along with the full reaction from Shekarchi, Senate President Val Lawson. Patrice, back to you.
Thank you both.